All right, well, we're getting ready to start our newest module on the second and third Great Awakening. So you're really in for another treat this time. I have included tons of information for you, hopefully in a way that resonates with you. It's easy to understand and it's interesting. That's my goal too with this is that it should be interesting, right? Because we're talking about heaven, and what's more interesting than heaven. So in the Second Great Awakening, here's my short version, the Cliff Note version. We're going to talk about Francis Asbury. We're talking about the Log College, which was a little bit of a leftover from the First Great Awakening, moving into the Second Great Awakening, how this college was one of the first colleges in America, and it was focused on biblical teachings. And then how the Kentucky Holiness College became Asbury College, which is now Asbury University, and why all of these colleges were talking about being holy, and why that was important, that we should have holy lifestyles, that we should be set apart from the world around us, and that as Christians, we should pursue a life of orderliness and holiness, so that we can strive to truly live our best life according to Scripture. That's the key, according to Scripture. We're not here to have the most money or the most happiness or the most possessions. We're here to honor and glorify God with all that we do. So these colleges were set up to really teach people what that meant and how they could do that practically, which is something that we're just not seeing today. And I think that's a big reason why the world is in the shape it is today. So in the Second Great Awakening, we're also looking at Charles Finney, and he was one of the great revivalists, one of the great pastors of that time. So we'll talk a lot about him. Then moving into the Third Great Awakening in the 1800s, 1857 to 1885, around there, there's some really cool stories. So hang on till the end, because we're going to talk about Jeremiah Lanphier, who has a great story about prayer. And really in the Third Great Awakening, we see how prayer is so important. And it is also a little bit of a carryover from the Second Great Awakening, where Charles Finney had his own intercessor. He had his own prayer warrior that went ahead of him to prepare these towns and cities for the revival before Charles Finney even set foot in the place. Well, Jeremiah Lanphier did something similar, but he did this on a weekly basis with all people, right? It could have been mechanics, it could have been businessmen, it could have been anybody that wanted to stop in and pray, whether it was for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or the full hour, and how his prayer group grew from 6 people on day one to over 10,000 people within 6 months. So talk about revival. We also talk about Billy Sunday, who has a fantastic, really humble background, which to me helps me to know that we can be common, everyday, average people, even with a history, right? A history of maybe darkness or trials and tribulations in our life, and God can use us. We also see that with D.L. Moody, and he's basically saying that the world needs average people to be bold and courageous, to speak up and speak the truth. So with all of this, we, just like normal, we have our additional resources, which should help to just come alongside the lecture this time, and the scripture readings as we dig into the Second and Third Great Awakenings. I hope you enjoy.